but without, having the success that you don't have. And today you're going to learn about all that stuff. So let's jump right into it. So first, let's go through why you should tell your story. See, people do business with people they like and trust. So if you're able to tell your story effectively, people start people start to begin people start to build a like and a trust towards you through your story. That's why it's simple to keep it, or that's why it's important to keep it simple. It's important to keep it clear. And the reason why is because people start to build that like and trust towards you, and they'll want to do business with you. And again, this comes from successful people. I follow tons of successful people that I've personally talked to, and successful people that I follow, and each and every one of them follow this system. They tell their story effectively, and that's why they've been able to, generate, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars in revenue and build their business because people like them, people trust them, and they're willing to invest in them. They're willing to buy into their vision. They're willing to, work with them closely because they told their story, and essentially people fell in love with them. This works great with relationships too, right? If you're out seeking that woman or that man, telling your story could be so effective when you're looking to find a partner because you want them to like and trust you. That's just a small example, just so you guys get the idea of why you need to tell your story, and why it needs to be powerful. And then again, you want to have people to really connect with you, right? At the end of the day, we're surrounded with, millions and millions of people all over the world. And, to connect with people is such a gift. And the best way I find to connect with people is to really share your story, to enroll them into a possibility, right? And the way you enroll them into a possibility, and in this case, it would be GWT, would be to tell your story. And also, telling your story will attract more customers and have people want to do business with you. Very, very, very important, right? Everyone wants to attract more customers because no one wants to go out and convince anyone to do their business or to, buy their product or whatever it is. You want to attract customers, and you want to have people come to you for your business. You want people to get attracted to you. And the great thing about being in this world right now is social media, right? Technology is growing, and the cool thing is that we don't have to just focus on telling our story offline. We have tons of resources now where we can tell our story online. And today you're, I know a lot of you are probably thinking, well, everyone's telling their story online. It's a noisy world. And how are we going to be unique? Well, today you're going to learn a structure. You're going to learn a structure that is going to help you be unique from everyone else that's in this industry and is promoting their story online. So with that being said, we're going to go through the forensic networker. This is where I learned how to tell my 2-minute story. This is literally the art of telling your story. Ramin Mezgarlu, created 16 millionaires, has been in the industry for 20 plus years, has built so much, and I believe 14 years of that was full time. So, consider that this guy definitely knows what he's talking about when it comes to helping other people out in this industry, and especially telling a 2-minute story. I've heard so many stories from Ramin, and wow, he's so effective, so powerful when he tells a story. So, guys, let's go through the art of telling your 2-minute story. And before actually we go through the structure of it, I want to just read off a quote here on the far right to you guys. So the highest income earners in direct sales are the best storytellers. Learn to tell your learn to tell your own 2-minute story, and often, right? So the great thing is anyone and everyone that's in direct sales that wants to make a lot of money needs to master this art right here. Again, I explained to you why, because everyone does business with people they like and trust, and the way to build like and trust with someone is through telling your 2 minute story. So it's a simple 5 step process on how to tell your story. It's built of 5 components, and the first component is when. So when did you launch your business? You want to get down literally to the nitty gritty, even if you could get down to the hours, just to show people how committed you are and how powerful and out there you are about your business. So when did you launch your business? Number of days, weeks, months, and years. So guys, if you don't have a pen and paper by now, definitely get one out and start writing things down. When did you launch your business? And if you don't know when you launched it, the exact day, go to your back office, go down maybe halfway down your back office, and on the left there's a panel that shows where you when you got launched, and it even shows who sponsored you. So that's where you can find out when exactly you got launched. Then the second component here is why you started your business. So why did you start your business? No one does, everyone buys into something or everyone does something because there's an opportunity for them. There's a benefit for them in that, thing that they did or that they bought, right? No one on this planet buys something without a benefit or an opportunity for them. So why did you get started? Really sit down and think. If you can't think of it right now, then that's totally fine. But take some time, whether it's later after this training or tomorrow, so you could really, bring up to light why you started this business. Was it because of more money, just less stress, because you hate your job and you wanted, work for yourself? Or maybe, for those of you that have a family, maybe you were just sick and tired of missing your son or daughter's sports games, or, you missed their school events and you wanted more time with your family. So that's why you started this, this business. And consider that the why part is probably the most important part. That's where I would recommend where you can spend some time. You could spend some time, really elaborating on why you got started. It should almost be like a loop. So to elaborate on that, you should start your story. Again, we're talking about the why right now. So the why component, start your story, and then you want to be authentic when you tell this part. The reason why is because consider that a lot of the bad parts about your story actually can be the best parts. These are the parts that actually can resonate with people. When you just think right now, sit back and just think for a second. Was there ever a time where you heard, a speaker or someone tell a story that was so powerful that it almost left you in tears? And if you have, hold on to that and start to think about, did they start off with, maybe something funny or something really interesting, like a fact, and then they went down to the dark, the negative stuff, the grungy stuff that, obviously was part of their past, but it really leaves you like, wow, I couldn't believe what he just said or she just said. And then it gets to the good part. It's like a roller coaster. So when you're telling this part, start with, maybe a fact or something that you find funny, and then get down to the truth of it. Remember, you want to be as authentic as possible. Authenticity is why people, build that like and trust with you. Why people like and trust you when you're telling your story is through this component here, which is your why. So you want to be authentic. And like I said, the worst parts of your story most of the time are the best parts. So really be authentic when you're talking about your why. Now the third component is who. So who introduced you to your business? Very simple. As you can see, a lot of these components are simple. When did you launch your business? On this day, this month, this year, right? And then who introduced you to your business? Well, was it through a friend? Who was your upline essentially? Or maybe you just seen it on an advertisement and you decided to get started right away. Then you want to get into the fourth component, which is the product. Product testimonials are very important. Direct sales, MLM, network marketing, the industry was built on products, right? To get rid of the middleman and, we get paid the dollars, right? And, so products are very important. So if you have a product testimonial, mention that. Whether it was a retail sale, maybe you sold something off your body, and you made $500 in one shot, or maybe in your first week you made, for instance, for myself, my first week I made $500 just from selling a phone case and two rings. So that's my product testimonial. So really consider it. If you have one, mention it in there, because this is something that people can relate to, right? And then the fifth component is your business testimonials. You want to share the following in this exact order. So when you share your business testimonial, it'll be made up of personal income earned and or size of your entire team and or total sales volume in your entire team, your growth target in sales, team income in 12 months, and overall. Very, very simple, right? So write this down, guys, because this is the structure you want to keep when you tell your story, right? Business testimonial, just to recap. So your personal income earned. If you've earned something, write it down. If you haven't, that's totally fine. We're actually we're gonna bust a myth about business, not just in this industry, but even traditional business, on when it comes to sharing your profits. So it's interesting. This will help a lot of you that are nervous or anxious when someone asks you, well, how much did you make, right? Everyone gets it in this industry, and right away that's where your posture goes down. Your guard goes back down, and we're going to help you with that today. So the second part of your business testimonial is the size of your entire team, right? Well, the great thing about GWT is that we have an amazing compensation plan where not just your upline or yourself is building your business, but other people are helping to build your business too. So maybe you only put 5 people in the 12 months that you've been in this industry or in this business, but since you put in those 5 to 10 people, those people got interested and told other people, so your team grew. So consider that by going to your back office, you could really see how many people are in your team, and you can mention that, you can promote that, because that's exciting, that's elaborating. And guys, also keep in mind when you're telling your story, you want to tell it with a lot of energy. I mean, like you had 20 coffees that day, okay? So tons and tons and tons and tons of energy. So yeah, size of your team, and then total sales volume in your team. And this is where it gets really good. So I'm going to mention it below, just because I want you guys to understand the myth that there is in this industry. And when I mention that, that's when I'll get into your total sales volume and how you can find that out. And then you also want to mention your growth target in sales, team income in 12 months, and overall. See, a lot of people, they buy into visions. So you could sell them, the fact that, okay, I'm not where I am now, but I'm going to be here in 12 months. So really, really consider that, people don't need to know how much you make. They don't even need to know that you're successful. All they need to know is where you're going to be. Listen, I've made maybe like $5, $10 in this business right now, but I know where I'm going. I'm working with 5 great mentors that are going to help me skyrocket my business in the next 6 to 12 months. And I'm looking to make $10,000 in income residually. And then you educate them on residual, because some people don't know what that is. So those are the 5 components of telling your 2-minute story. And later on, I'm going to be sharing an example on how to tell your 2-minute story with these 5 components. But let's get into the misconception that direct sales and MLM distributors have. So the misconception that they have and struggle with often is how to tell their success story. See, new distributors, or even the ones who have been around for a while, who are not making what they consider to be a big income, are shy to tell their story. Just like I mentioned, for myself, I was very, very shy at first. I didn't know what I was going to say, but speaking to my mentors, learning forensic really helped me out. And I know since it helped me out, it's going to help you out as well. So, in fact, if someone was to ask them, how much money have you made so far, they freeze, don't know how to respond, even though they might have a nicely growing business. Guys, we all know that GWT is the #1 business out there. We've proven it time and time again. We've got the best compensation plan. We've got the best product line. Actually, we have the only type of product in the industry that involves fashion. So That's a huge benefit right there, guys. We have the best company, so you don't need to freeze up when someone asks you that. You don't need to freeze up if someone asks you how much money you make. We're going to learn how to, get rid of that story, you could say, that's been created in your head. So first, let's expose the myth that I've been talking about that has been going around the direct sales or the MLM industry. And that it suggests that your income alone is the only thing that represents success. And that is 110% false. It's wrong. In fact, in business, profits usually is the last aspect of business success. A business can be thriving and yet still not see any profits for a long time. So just look at giant corporations like Amazon. Amazon lost money for their first 8 years of operation before they saw any profits. And same is true with Twitter and so many more large corporations. So if someone would have asked the owners of Amazon, how much money have you made in the first 8 years? The response would have been, we are losing millions every month. So regardless of the losses, they were perceived as a successful corporation because they were growing. Guys, we all know Amazon. Amazon makes, billions of dollars, I believe now, and just really consider their first 8 years, they didn't make money, but they were continuously growing. That's all that matters. You know where you want. That's why we always tell you your why is so important. You need to know where you're going to be. Imagine a plane, you know, going to going to drop people off, and they don't know their target. That's why there's destinations. You go to Jamaica, you go wherever you need to go, and but plane has a GPS that knows where to go. Imagine they didn't know where to go. They would just be flying around with, just like chickens running around with their heads cut off, right? So that's why it's important to know your why, because that why is where you're going to sell people. You're going to sell people on your vision. So guys, consider that you don't need to freeze when someone asks you, how much money have you made? Because it's a myth that, you judge the growth of a business through the profits they made. It's a total myth. You know, you measure it by the revenue, which brings me to my next page. So traditional businesses are the same, and you never hear store owner talk about their profits when they talk success. They always talk revenues and sales, which has nothing to do with profit. So listen to that clearly. They always talk about revenues and sales, which has nothing to do with profits. You hear a restaurant owner proudly say our revenues were $1 million last year, even though his profit or income was only $40,000. So business success are often not measured by profits only, only but measured by growth and sales first. So at the end of the day, you don't need to tell anyone what your profits is. And this brings me back to, how to measure how much growth in your business has happened, in revenue, right? We're talking about revenue now, not profits. So how to do that is you go to your back office, you scroll all the way to the bottom, and you see volume that's, in your back office right now. That volume is in our point system. So you want to convert that into dollars. So you take whatever that number is in your back office and you times it by 1.25. Then it'll give you a number. Let's say it's 10,000. And then you want to multiply that by 2, which would be 20,000. And that's how much revenue you've been able to build in your organization. So you could say, you've created $20,000 in revenue in your business. The great thing is, again, we have what's called a binary system in our compensation plan where there's spillover. And for those who don't understand that, essentially what that means is that whoever's on my team, Sebastian's team, Tyler's team, or anyone in that category, we're helping you build your business. So by us helping you build your business, that means there's some revenue there. There's revenue being built because we're putting VDMs in your organization as well. It benefits yourself, it benefits me, it benefits the entire team. So by us doing that, and by Sebastian doing that as well, there's volume there. So all you have to do is calculate that volume, and now all you have to do is talk about your revenue. Someone asks you, how much money have you made? Well, my virtual designer mall actually created $20,000 in revenue since I've started. People will be mind blowing. Again, we're talking about revenues, not profits. No one talks about profits. Let's talk about revenue. Direct sales slash MLM business is the same. So when your business has not reached large profits, talk sales and growth when you are asked about income. Remember, if you have 10 members who started with a $1,000 enrollment package in your team, regardless of who enrolled them, that is $10,000 in wholesale product sales and up to $20,000 in retail product sales, depending on the retail markup of the products. These figures demonstrate a good and growing business. Over time, you will accumulate hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars in sales volume in a business that you started part-time with a few $1,000s. Share that story with pride that your business has done $20,000 in retail business and is building a nice NASDAQ that you will cash on soon. So again, this just goes over promoting your revenue versus promoting your profits. This will help you tremendously because, like I mentioned before, when I first got started, I had no idea what to talk about. I didn't make that much profit. All I knew is that I needed to sell my vision. So now what I do is I sell my vision with also the revenue. Even though if I do make $10,000 or $100,000 a month in profit, I would still prefer to share my revenue because it'll be a lot greater number, and people are they find that appealing. You got a big number, you can promote your revenue. So again, guys, just to recap, if someone does ask you about how much money you've made, go calculate in your back office how much volume you've made, how much revenue you made, and promote that. And also promote the growth in your business. Maybe there isn't too much volume or revenue there, but your business has grown into different countries, right? My business has grown into about 15 countries now, and I've only been in the business for about 2.5 years now. That's a huge achievement. I speak to a lot of other network marketers that have been doing this for 10 years plus, and they don't even have 5 other countries that they started. So huge achievement. And again, for those who have expanded in other countries, that's something you want to mention, and your growth as well in your team. Again, maybe you only put 2 people in your team, but you've got myself, you've got Sebastian, you've got other people on your team that are just builders, and they've been building the business, which is great because it benefits you. You can promote that. Yeah, my business is growing X amount since I started. So, it's just a quick tip there to remind yourself if someone asks you how much money you've made. So let's go through the 2-minute story sample that Ramin has wrote down for us here. So we start with the when component. So I started my part-time business. Remember, it's important to say part-time business because it's appealing for the working force. If you find someone that is an employee and is working, the great thing is that we can promote it is a part-time business. You can build it on a part-time basis. So I started my part-time business from home with a company out of Toronto, Canada. Now we go to the why component. I felt that I really needed to do something other than my job to be able to get the things I really want in life, like being able to afford to send my children to medical school. Now we go to the who. So who introduced you? My friend John called me one day and told me about this business he had launched part-time. He was really excited, and it sounded interesting to me because even with his busy schedule, it was something he could do at nights or on weekends from home. Almost again elaborating what that why is, the freedom, right, of doing this business part-time. Then we go to the product testimonial. I have to tell you, I was really floored by their product line. It was world-class, natural. I decided to launch my own part-time business just to offer the products to friends, family, and who were interested. It's been a great experience, and most importantly, it's been really fun. So quick product testimonial. Now we go into the business testimonial. My business started growing almost immediately and started making retail sales because some of the people I had talked to about the products decided to go to my mall and shop or start their own business like I did. It was so cool, so I called my friend John and thanked him for introducing me to this business. Then I started thinking, I know lots of people that can use extra income. So I started telling everyone about my experience in this company. Guess what? People got as excited as I am and also launched their own mall on a part time basis and are having a blast and building a new revenue stream. Over the last year, my mall has done over X in retail sales, so $20,000 in retail sales. Can you believe that? I plan to quit my job when I double my income within 1 year and build a business up to $1 million business by, let's say, January 2016. So, do you see with this example at the end here? He mentioned, or he or she really mentioned the vision. Their vision is to build their business up to $1 million business by a certain amount of date. And that gets exciting. And something I would actually mention with that too. Let's say your vision is to make $1 million by the end of next year. You mentioned that to your prospect. You could also mention, and the only way. So this is very important. Make sure you write this down. And the only way that I can achieve $1 million by the end of next year is if I help, 5 to 10 people, quit their job and work full time from home, or help 100 people create $10,000 in revenue a month. So now you bring them into the story. So I'm giving you little nuggets here that you really want to consider, because, like I said, I've been studying storytelling for quite some time. I follow amazing people like Les Brown who tell stories, and this is coming not just from my personal experience, but from several other people's experience as well. And so one thing I learned is bringing other people into the story. So now you've got them attached to your vision. They're very intrigued, they're super excited, and now you want to bring them into the vision. And how do you do that? You mentioned that like I just said, the only way you're going to get there is if you help other people get there too. So now you bring them into the vision and say, I need to help you make $10,000 in order for me to get this. So they're excited. Making $10,000 a month in residual income, for most people, it's exciting. And maybe someone's already making $10,000. Then mention that you need to help him make $100,000. So again, it's all about bringing them into the vision, bring them into your story. When you start, when you really have mastered storytelling, I would say that it's when you have learned how to bring someone into your story. When you really are able to paint the picture for someone where they are just super excited and you leave them in a place of fulfillment. You leave them in a place of certainty, of trust, of like. That's when you've mastered storytelling. And I'll tell you right now, the only way to master storytelling is if you do it over and over and over and over and over and over again. Practice makes perfect. You have to consistently tell your story. If it's 7 o'clock p.m. at night and you went through an entire day without telling your story, go for a walk, and the first person you see, tell them that you want to stop them for 2 minutes just so you can tell them their story. And I'm being 100% serious on this. You want to tell your story to as many people as possible. The more times you do this, the better you get, and the more people will join your business because they start to buy into the vision. They start to become one with your story as well. And the rest just goes on about booking the appointment. So the great thing is you can tell your story before you even show them a tour. You could use your story to book the tour. So it would look like this: Bob, let's connect. Let's connect one day next week and have a conversation about this business. Would daytime be good or is night better? Would Tuesday be good or Thursday better? Then you exchange details. Bob, in the meantime, I'll send you some links tonight that will have you mesmerized, and then you send the introductory email with some video links. So you could do it before you send them the tour. The great thing is when it comes to storytelling, you can do it at any time. You can do it on social media. You can make a video of it, which I highly, highly recommend making a video of your story and posting it on YouTube and social media. and Facebook. You could also do it after the tour. A lot of the time when I'm on a three-way call with a bunch of you guys, actually, I'll mention my story. I'll use a feel, felt, found. I know exactly how you feel. I felt the same way. What I found, and then I get into my 2-minute story. It's a great way to inspire people and show. I'm a human being. I'm building that like and trust, and I use my 2-minute story to bring them into the opportunity. Again, guys, remember that no one buys anything on this planet unless they see an opportunity, unless they see benefit in themselves. And I'm going to give you some tips and tricks before we end the webinar tonight on 3 things that people are asking themselves in their head every time you're pitching them. So let's recap quickly. Traditional businesses are not expected to see any profits for their first 3 to 5 years. It took Amazon almost 8 years before they saw any profit. Social media giants like Twitter lost money for the first 9 years until they saw profits. In direct sales, the profits can pour in from week 1 for some, or it can take a year or longer for others before they see any profits. If your team is growing and it's generating commissionable volume, then you are on the right track. The unsued volume is like your NASDAQ waiting to be crashed at a later date. So again, promote your revenue, promote the volume that you've built in your organization, in your business. That's the best advice that I can give you when it comes to telling your story. I know, from experience, people get uptight when someone asks them how much money you make. I hope that we've eliminated that for you today so that you can focus on really presenting your story powerfully and presenting it with a lot of confidence. So that pretty much is the presentation for tonight, the training for tonight. I do want to go through just 4 simple tips and some tricks, and it's a little bit of a recap on some of the things I said with coming to telling your story. So first tip that I have here is being authentic when you're telling your story. Again, remember I said, the worst parts of your story sometimes can be the best parts of your story. So if there's something that you really never shared with someone, if it's like really scary, just consider that authenticity can really boost your story. It can make it go from a 4 to a 10 because you were authentic. When you're authentic and you're real about something that most people don't find normal to share, they buy into that and they're really intrigued by it. They're in your story, they're listening, they're engaged because you were authentic. And again, when the authenticity really comes into place when, again, when the worst parts of your story come up. So just to give you an example, actually, I was listening to a speaker today that I was listening to, and it's great because he had this same component about being authentic on telling his story. So it started off really funny about him and how he used to tell his mom this and that, he's too good for her, or just like any teenager gets embarrassed by when his mom comes and picks him up from school and whatnot. So he started the story like that, just giving a little bit of funny stories about that. And then it got into the dark stuff, and it got into how he was an alcoholic, he was a drug addict, abused drugs for so many years, and how he would just shun his mom. It's like she never even existed, and the entire room was crying at this point. See, one thing I've learned about storytelling and human beings is that people like to hear pain. People like to hear your pain. That's why social media is so great, because people can hear about other people's pain, right, when they post it. So same thing when it comes to storytelling. You want to that's why it's so important to be authentic. And I'm giving you this example because it's so powerful. So he went on about telling him, just being so real, like absolutely authentic about telling his story. And then it got to, so it was almost like a roller coaster. It was funny. It started up high and then it went down, 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 and it was a little negative. But that's what got people engaged at that point right there. And then it went back up, and he went on about how he quit drugs, he quit abusing like alcohol, everything. started an entrepreneur path, started talking to people at schools, at different areas to share his story and inspire others. And it was so in line, literally, I'm not even joking, the entire room was crying because of this story. So that's just an example right there on how you can tell your story. And that's why it's important to be authentic, to be as real as possible. And then, guys, you want to tell your story with confidence. You want to tell it with confidence and absolute certainty, belief in what you're doing is right, belief in what you're doing is going to take you to where you want to be. And you want to have confidence. Remember, posture, posture, posture. Don't let anyone at all tell you otherwise. Don't let anyone tell you that what you believe in or what you're doing isn't right, or you're wasting your time. You want to. If someone does say that while you're telling your story, have that posture, and I promise you could probably turn them around, because people buy into people they like and trust, and the majority of people that people like and trust are people with confidence, people that believe in what they're doing. Steve Jobs believed that he could change the status quo. He believed that he was going to reinvent the computer, and he did, and that's why people love Apple. People buy Macs. Same with Mark Zuckerberg. Facebook. He had absolute belief and confidence in what he was doing, and he changed the entire way we communicate, the way we connect online. So tell your story with confidence. And then remember I mentioned there was a trick or tips that I wanted to give you on what people are thinking. 3 things people are asking themselves when you're telling them their story. And the first is, who are you? What do you have? And why should I care? So you have to deliver on all these 3 things. So who are you? My name's Eddy Brenes. And this will tie into when you started your business. And then you get into, what do you have? Well, your opportunity. And then, why should I care? And that's when you get into your why. That's where essentially this section here is all, included into the component of what your why. Who are you? What do you have? And why should I care? Why should people, this is what people are thinking when you're telling them your story, when you're pitching them on your opportunity. And the most important one is, why should I care? Again, no one buys into anything unless there's an opportunity or benefit for them. That's why it's so important to tell your story powerfully. And your why is one of the most important things. So if you guys don't know where you want to be, find out tonight. Find out tonight where you want to be. If money or time were not an issue, where would you be right now? What kind of lifestyle would you be living? Those are questions you want to start asking yourself. And your story should, like I said, it should be told over and over and over and over again, not just because you want to master it and really inspire other people, but every time you tell your story, you start believing in your story. You start to have more confidence. And when that happens, your story, you're putting it out to the universe that you want your story to come true. You want that end result, that vision to come true. And that's why I say continue to tell your story every single day. And then something that I came across not too long ago actually really it really resonated with me, and it brought a lot of things up to light when it comes to telling your story. And it's that last trick or tip there, which is, people have stories in their head. Everyone has stories about your product. Everyone has stories about MLM. Everyone has stories about the entire world. People are consumed by so many stories. It's the way we've been programmed. It's the media. It's a bunch of things. But what you want to do when you're telling a story is, you want to disrupt those other stories that they have in their head, so that you can tell your story, so that you can inspire them. And how do you do that? This goes back to being authentic, being as real as possible, and also by the 5 components that I shared with you today. So guys, that is it for the training tonight. I hope you guys got some value, and I hope that you really did take some notes down. I really believe that by taking those notes down, you can go back, recap, and when you're ready to tell your story over a phone, you have those notes there. And there's nothing wrong with reading over your notes and reading them over and over and over and over again, just so you can master what you want to say to other people and how you're going to say it powerfully. So Before we go into questions, I do want to bring someone, a really great friend of mine, mentor of mine, has helped me, wow, with everything, not just in this industry and in this business, but in life. This is someone I've worked with closely. I consider that this is someone that has taught me everything I know. And this person goes by the name of Sebastian Jimenez. Sebastian is actually who personally introduced me. Young gentleman, has created so much success in this business. He actually holds an award, and he's the youngest person in the company to hold an award. So huge achievement right now, or to have that. And also, I know he's going to be the youngest millionaire in GWT, because of what he's creating. His mindset, how he works with people, how he communicates. He's just an overall all-star. And guys, I'm going to bring Sebastian on the call so he can give you an example of how to tell a story. He's going to give you his story. So, Sebastian, do I have you on the call?
Hey Eddie, can you hear me okay?
Absolutely. Loud and clear. The call is all yours.
Awesome. Well, I will make my story as brief as possible. I think that's important when we share our stories. Another reason why I want to make it brief is so that we can actually get perhaps somebody else or a few people to share their stories. I know we've got a lot of new people on this call, so to follow the format, and Eddie, congratulations on this training. It was very well done. I got started in GWT in February of 2012. And the main reason why I got started was because at the time I was a university student and I was broke. Literally was thinking of a million ways where I could pay off my education. I thought about doing everything. Some things were legal and others were not legal. And then I said, come on, Sebastian, figure this out. And I instantly realized that um, everyone in my life who had money and who had time freedom, the families with the nice cars, the vacations, the clothes. What I found early on in my life is that a lot of those families that I was jealous of, but also respected, had businesses. So I made a decision in university in 2012 that I was going to own a business. And GWT was a business for me because I understood Ramin Mesgarlu's vision. So Eddie talked a lot about, people love visions. And the vision for us is that we're going to become the next $1 billion fashion house. And we're going to create 1,000 millionaires by 2025. And, I was introduced to this business in 2012 by a good friend of mine, Michael Davidson. And my best product experience was when I sold a timepiece for just over $2,000. It's a Fairy Hollywood timepiece for those of you who are familiar. And since I've been in the business, my business has expanded into over 17 countries. And whether or not I'm putting in lots of effort, my business is still continuing to grow with or without me. And the future for this company and for me is that everyone gets consumed by life, and in business you have your ups and your downs. But if we look at the economy, people are being laid off all the time. Industries are literally being consumed by technology. The world's changing at a fast pace. And, I needed to understand that for us young people, there is no such thing as pensions for us. Mathematically impossible for us to receive a pension. And that the main reason for that is because all the baby boomers are going to consume those pensions, so that when us young guys want to retire, we're going to need to get creative and hopefully have residual income to do so. And main reason besides that is I want to take care of my parents, my family, and my future family. And I know that GWT will provide that. And it doesn't happen overnight, but it's a 2 to 5 year plan that through thick and thin, if you stick to it, it will happen.
Amazing story, Sebastian. Thank you so much for that. Guys, you just seen an example on that story. And, working with Sebastian for the past 2.5 years, I've heard him say that story over and over and over again. And wow, it's been such a powerful story that really lands on people and it really shows them, wow, what's possible with GWT. And, like Sebastian mentioned, and like I was mentioning throughout this training, people buy into visions, right? And that's why it's so important to have a vision. For me, um, I had, just to give you a quick some quick advice here. My vision before was I wanted to make $1 million. And then I realized that's all about me. That's just me, 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 and that's really greedy. So I started to really think, what's more powerful? What gets me really excited that will make me want to wake up at 5 o'clock every morning and go to sleep at 12 or 1 o'clock every night? And it was to help other people. So that's where I created the vision of helping 100 people retire from working for someone else for the rest of their life. I know how much I hate working for someone else. I hate it, with absolute certainty. So if I can help other people that really hate their job and want more freedom to work for themselves and, find that freedom and create that freedom, then that will be more exciting than me just creating $1 million. So what I want to do is now open the call for some questions. I see Carol, you have your hand up. So what I'll do is I will unmute you first. Maybe you want to share your story, maybe you have a question. Carol, do we have you on the line?
Yes, Eddie, I believe, anyhow, that my hand is always in the wrong position. But nevertheless, good evening, everyone. I would like to share my short story since I'm on the call. I started in April of 2015. I was just tired of being a single mom and living from paycheck to paycheck. At that time, my eldest son being unemployed for more than over a year, and it can be very frustrating. So I got this opportunity and was more than glad when I saw the products. Those alone blew my mind because they were so beautiful, so just exclusive. And I decided this is what I'm going to get into. Mind you, I had no experience with any kind of network marketing, so I really used to be excited and made it my duty to be on a call every week, not only on our call, but on the Sunday call or whichever call that I saw reminders came in by email, I would register and be on those calls. So I can say with all excitement, indeed, it is not about what you will accomplish for yourself, but going out and sharing this opportunity with as many other persons as possible. That's it, Eddy. Thank you also for being there for us and indeed investing time, coming time and time again weekly with wonderful trainings, helping us build our team and build our business. Thank you, Eddy.
Awesome, Carol. My pleasure. I do this again because of my vision, and I'll continue to do this every Tuesday. And, my vision is to build and help others, create what they like, build their teams versus build my team. And Carol, amazing story. It sounded like you followed all five components, and I really bought into that. It almost made me want to cry because I obviously know what you're up to. I know you're up to big things, and I know for a fact. And just to actually, I want to elaborate on one thing that you did say, Carol, for everyone to get in. What Carol mentioned here was that she also mentioned something that could really resonate with people, and it's the training. Although she's never been in network marketing, although she doesn't know much about business or how to run a successful business, she has the willingness to learn. She is willing to be on any call. Doesn't matter what time it's at, just so she can soak up that information and then implement it. So that really resonates with people because you might be talking to a prospect that has no idea about running a business, has never made more than $3,000 in 1 month, and now they're going to take this on. So if you can, use the feel, felt, found, I know exactly how you feel. I felt the same way. And what I found was that although I've never been in network marketing, just like Carol said, and I don't know, much about it. I'm, I'm on every call, not just this call, but the Sunday call and every other call to soak everything up and to learn, right? So use that technique, guys, of the feel, felt, found. That's huge when you're talking to people. And great job, Carol, on touching on that. That's a huge part in telling your story as well, is really creating a relativeness, right? Because people, that's where you really build like and trust, is through relativeness. And if you can collaborate that with your story, then you're on your way to success for sure. So I see here Ashley has a comment. Fantastic training tonight. Personally speaking, when you take the time to really lay out your story, you gain the confidence to speak to anyone and everyone about your incredible business. Don't underestimate the impact that your story will have on others. Wow, well said, Ashley. 100% right. You can't underestimate the impact that your story could have on other people. Like I said, that one story I told you about just recently that I watched, where the guy had the whole room crying. He told his story so effectively that he literally had, it was younger students actually in I believe elementary school or just starting high school, and had everyone crying. And I'm pretty sure for those students that were up to no good, they probably turned around now and realized what life is really about just from this guy telling his story. If you guys want to see that, to give a good example on how to tell your story, just let me know and I could surely send you the video through YouTube. So I see there's no other questions coming in. Guys, thank you so much for being on the call. Make sure you're on the call after this call, which starts at 9:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's so you can, fast start your business. You can, find out how you can get a lot of incentives through our launch pad. So make sure you're on that call. It's so exciting. Even if you've been in the business for a year or 2 years, guys, be on that call so you can start to refresh your memory on the fast start in your next 30 days, because that is literally, you could always restart. If you feel like you're not where you are, restart, click the restart button and start all over again, and use those tools, guys. Carol mentioned something so powerful. No matter what, she is on every call because she understands that knowledge is power. And she doesn't just gain this knowledge through her calls and talking to the mentors, but she also implements that knowledge. And that's why she's had some great success in this business. So, guys, thanks again for being on the call. I appreciate everyone that's always on these calls. Congrats for you, because you're clearly committed to building your business. You're committed for your future and you're committed to get to your vision. So, guys, congratulations and thanks again for being on the call. Take care. Bye for now. To the billion.